But the number one in offense, that has been the case pretty much from the get-go. And the offensive efficiency rating is like 120. It's absurd what is happening right now. And that is without a complete package. Like you've
Hmm.
had Brogdon miss a few, pretty much a third of the season at this point. You've had, Smart miss a few games. You've had, Brown has missed one. Horford's missed a couple. Like, no devastating injuries or anything like that, knock on wood, obviously, but there's, they've not been a full complete unit day in and day out. There have had, there have been guys that have been out. And first and foremost, Rob Williams, who, as much as we laud his defense, he's a big part of the offense too. He has
Hmm.
not played yet so far this season. So is this sustainable? Is 120, 119 offensive rating, first in the league, wire to wire? Is that sustainable? What you've seen so far?
Okay, so I got a lot for you here.
Great.
Um, the answer to the question is kind of, it is kind of sustainable. Like, so cleaning the glass, for people, if people don't know that site, it's a really great site with NBA stats, and they, one of the things they track is, so you can look at a team's effective field goal percentage, which is just like a measure of how efficiently they make shots.
Mhm.
But you can also look at what you would expect their effective field goal percentage to be based on the location of the shots they're taking. So traditionally, the Celtics have been like have kind of like hovered around league average in terms of like the quality of the location of the shots they're taking. That's gone up this year. They're near the top of the league. So I do think there are like, even though there's some like hot shooting stuff going on, they're getting the best shots basically of any team in the league. They've kept the amount of shots they're getting at the rim basically the same, and they've replaced a ton of mid-range shots with threes. And beyond that, it's not just like any threes. I was looking up, so last year they were around 36.5% of their threes were like wide open threes, and now it's like up to 40%. So I think like they're getting like more wide open threes, which so it makes sense that they're making more of them. Like some of that stuff, like they are outperforming what you would expect their field goal percentage to be based on the shots they're getting, but not like they're getting way better shots. So I think that's like a huge piece of it. Um I By the way, I think Tatum's like ability to get off the ball is just like a huge part of that, why they're generating more open threes. If you think about like how many of his like off dribble threes that were contested have been replaced with him shooting catch and shoot threes, that's just a huge difference. Um, and then the other stuff going on, like, they don't get offensive rebounds, but that's kind of always been the case. Like they're going to prioritize other things over that. But like to go from middle of the pack in turnovers to the top of the league in turnovers, that like makes a huge difference in your offensive efficiency. And I think the ball movement is a big piece of that too. Um, there's like when you look at NBA stats, like some stuff ends up feeling like luck and some stuff feels sustainable. And people have done a bunch of research on this. There's like a really good article from a few years ago on Nylon Calculus, about this, um, about like stabilization rates of stats. So like when the question is like, if you're looking at a stat early in the season, how do you know when you can like start to trust that stat? And like people have sort of accepted the fact that like opponent three-point shooting percentage is this thing that's like mostly luck. That tends to, like, if opponents are making like all their threes or none of their threes, you can basically predict that a team will like it'll start going the other way at some point. But some stuff like mostly stylistic stuff, you can trust it pretty early. And so like the way a team is playing. So the fact that the Celtics are getting to the line more is like a thing that is like immediately sustainable. That's just like stylistically how they're playing. And I think turnovers are kind of like that too. So like they've gone way up in free throw rate and they've gone way up in turnover percentage, or like better in turnover percentage. And so I think that stuff is all really sustainable. The one thing that feels like a red flag is they're making a ton of mid-range shots like compared to last year. I think it like last for the last 3 years they've been at like 0.83 points per shot on long twos, and this year they're like 0.9 something. So they're just like making maybe an unsustainable amount of long twos. But even if so, like with the offensive rating, it's like it's at 120 or whatever. Like even if it falls to like 117, they'd be number one in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like they have some like room to lose a little efficiency and still be the best offense in the league, actually.
It is crazy. Celtics sitting 119.2 as we chat right now. The Kings, who have, their record should be better than it is, but 117.5. And then after that, 115.5 is the best. And then it's, a whole lot of teams are separated by like a point or two. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but for the Celtics are just, other than Sacramento, are so far in front of everybody. And this is not, I know it's a small sample size relatively, but it's just one of those stats, as you know, when you were just outlining. It's one of those stats where like even percentages of a point are noteworthy, let alone 4 full points between first and third place. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and if you like there are sites like Dunks and Threes does like they do offensive rating, but they account for strength of schedule. When you look at that stuff, like the Celtics are blowing everybody away by even more. It just gets like more extreme. So yeah, I mean, it like they have a lot of room to play with. They're probably getting a little lucky, but they're probably also the best offense in the league anyway.
Well, it comes back to like Joe Mazzulla in two different ways. One, schematically, it's just beautiful to watch. Again, and the other thing that I think adds to this, it goes back to Joe Mazzulla and just outlining everybody's role. And I've noticed this from Brogdon. He's talked about this, I think, multiple times, how they want to have the best bench in the league. And I think they have the best bench in the league, and I think everybody on the team thinks they have the best bench in the league.
Yeah,
it's not like these guys
think they're the deepest team in the league.
Yeah, and in a league that's really like deep right now, by the way.
Again, we were saying that.
Yeah, I mean, you look around the league, there's a lot of teams that are really deep, but Boston off the bench. I mean, are there two guards in the league like Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon coming off anybody else's bench? I just want to point out, just real quick, for the people that clown the Derek White trade, and there are people on our own network.
These people exist.
That clown the Derek White trade because he had a bad finals. You're all eating it today. I cannot believe that people even thought about having that opinion. Derek White is such a ginormous luxury for this team. And he is their fourth guard, basically, off the bench if you make Jalen a guard. And if you make Jalen a wing, he's their third guard. And having Peyton Pritchard as your fourth or fifth guard, absolutely ridiculous. This team is so stacked on the bench that Peyton barely plays. And as you've seen, thanks to the Atlanta game, like he can still play. There would be a role for him on this team if they didn't already have like a bunch of dudes that are just better than him. But to have Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon off the bench is a huge luxury. Sam Hauser is playing a role that they've desperately needed for years.
This is the real question. When do we start talking about Sam Hauser's MVP case?
Biggest plus minus in the league,
leading the league in off-on differential.
Unbelievable.
I just love that he's shooting 49% from 3-point range, and he's in a rut.
Yeah.
But again, I think Seth, you pointed this out. I think you were the one that put it in the chat of his form looks just like Larry Bird's, which is just kind of real interesting. The way the shot finishes is like at literally the same spot. If you haven't seen the picture, recommend you go and look at that. But a lot of, again, schematics is one thing, talent's another thing, and that's when you combine them together, you get the beautiful harmony that Boston has offensively. And it's just guys buy into their roles. I don't think there is no question about what each person's supposed to do in the basket. Like, look at Grant Williams.
Yeah.
Grant, who has expanded his range from the corner outward. Now he's like much better above the break at 3-point, on the wing or straight up like top of the key. Way more confident, way better
statistically right now.
Yeah.
He's shooting them off the dribble.
I know. That's the crazy part.
And he's not like taking 1 or 2 a game. Like he's shooting almost 4 a game.
Yeah.
And he's put it on the deck. When guys come out and close out, he can either do the one dribble, sidestep 3, or he can put it on the deck and close out and dunk. Or he'll dish, like, I don't know, everybody, the maturation of the whole team is like just kind of all collectively gone another level up. And everybody at the same time is like, again, at some point, like this isn't going to go like as well.
Sorry, we're doing video right now. Did you guys see me just friggin' jump a mile because I think a bird just flew into my window at full speed? Yeah, you talk about
what kind of
about
moment
Larry
is that
Bird.
currently?
You talk about Larry Bird, and all of a sudden, boom!
Bird smokes and kills itself.
Yeah,
incredible.
What kind of moment are we dealing with here?
Like, rewind the tape. I literally just jumped. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
But no, it's again. I just think it's a lot of, and again, a lot of credit goes back to Missoula, but everybody buying in, everybody understanding what they're supposed to do on the floor. This bench is insane, and everybody's just collectively hitting every check mark you need to check. Again, the only problem Boston has, again, last time I checked it, I didn't check it today, but the only problem Boston has offensively is their offensive rebound percentage towards the bottom of the league. It's like 24th or 26th, somewhere in there. But Boston, every other offensive metric per Gleaning Glass is a top 4 team offensively, and mostly number 1 in everything. So it's great. It's a great problem to have. It's a great problem to have.
I guess there are things that, and look, maybe the Boston Celtics are just now the Golden State Warriors, right? In terms of stylistically and the way they shoot and all. Like, I know they don't have, Curry and Clay. They don't have like the Splash Brothers per se, but in terms of their depth and the way they use their surrounding pieces, parts, whatever, maybe they have just become, maybe they have morphed into that team. That is what I guess if there's one thing, I didn't think about this till just now, but I guess if there's one thing that if you were to say, like, projecting ahead another 30, 40 games, what does this look like now? You got to pick one stat that you're wondering about. This is the one that I'm wondering about. Right now, Grant Williams, Sam Hauser, Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, all on at least 2.5 attempts per game, and in some cases up to 4.5, are all shooting at least 40% from three-point range. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, not in that conversation. They are, they're Brown's at 32.5. Tatum's at 36.5. Marcus Smart, for the people that like to get on him, here's your year. He's shooting 5, per game, and he's shooting not even 30%. But all those other guys, Grant, Hauser, Horford, Pritchard, White, 40+% from three-point range. I want to know if that holds up. And obviously, like you were talking about, Seth, stylistically, if they continue to get the open looks that they are, it should hold up. Because we're talking about guys that can knock down shots. But I'm really curious to see how that goes.
I mean, it won't be 40%, but like if it's 38, I mean, like, if like, again, this comes down to like
the team as a whole is shooting 38.7.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that I think that could hold up. What were they at, like 36 last year? It's like if you're getting way more, if a higher percentage of the threes you're getting are open or wide open, your percentage of those threes that go in is going to go up. I do think there's probably some hot shooting, but I also think there's a fringe benefit to like deciding stylistically that you're gonna shoot more threes, and maybe just that's like a result of like focusing on driving closeouts and kicking out more. Like if I don't know, if you just like decide in practice, like, okay, if we're open on a 3, we're gonna shoot it, and at the same time we're getting smarter about like, okay, I'm Marcus Smart and I'm open. I'm like wide open on the above the break, but Grant Williams is standing in the corner. Like maybe I'm a couple percentage points smarter than I used to be about like throwing the head fake and moving the ball to the corner. Like there's all these like incremental things that are benefits that you get out of playing together for a long time. And so I think there's a bunch of factors coming together. They're better at doing the stuff that they're trying to do. They've made a concerted effort to turn long 2s into 3s. Like they're shooting like fewer mid-range shots than almost anybody and more 3s than almost anybody. And so I think like when you decide to do that, maybe your confidence level in those shots goes up as well. So they're more open, they're like more in the flow of the offense, and you got more confident shooters taking them. So it makes sense to me that they'd make more of them.